Hello and welcome to Conquering Alba, where we take you to the historical places that helped make Scotland what it is today. Today we're at the east coast in North Berwick as we visit Tantallon Castle. Tantallon Castle was the home to the powerful Red Douglas dynasty, which often clashed with the crown. It was besieged by both James IV and James V, but it was ultimately destroyed by Oliver Cromwell's troops in the siege of 1651. The castle was built in the mid-14th century by William Douglas, the first Earl of Douglas. It was passed to his illegitimate son George Douglas, who later created the Earl of Angus, and despite several sieges it remained the property of his descendants for much of its history. Tantallon Castle is a unique construction within Scotland, the defences comprising only a single large wall securing a coastal promontory. The south east, north east, and north west approaches are naturally defended by steep sea cliffs and were only ever protected by a relatively small defensive walls. To the southwest, a massive curtain wall blocks off the end of the promontory, which forms the inner courtyard. The curtain wall is built of a local red sandstone and has a tower at each end and a heavily fortified gatehouse in the centre, all of which provided residential accommodation. A north range of buildings containing a hall completed the main part of the castle, enclosing a courtyard of around 70 by 44 metres. In total, the buildings of the castle provided 1,100 square metres of accommodation. The curtain wall is over 49 foot high and 12 foot thick and has around 300 feet long. There are several small chambers within the walls and stairs with arched ceilings accessing the parapet walk. The parapet walk beneath the 16th century crenels of the curtain wall connects to the three towers. The northwest tower, known as the Douglas Tower, was a circular in plan and 39 foot across, although the west side has collapsed. It was 7 stories high, and this tower would have formed the Lord's Keep, containing his private accommodation and connecting to the hall in the north range. The east tower is of a D plan, with a curve faced outwards and is 30 foot across. Originally consistent of 5 stories, the bottom 3 were reduced to 2 after the 1528 siege, by the intersection of stone vaults. Large gun ports were also added in the basement at this time. The third floor of the tower was designed to have access to the parapet on the south-east wall, although this wall was never built. The central gatehouse tower is square and is 43 foot across and up to 79 foot high. It contained 4 stories of chambers, some of which canopied fireplace, although the internal walls and floors are now missing. The main entrance ran through a passage below, protected by a drawbridge, 3 pairs of doors, a portcullis, and holes in the ceiling enabling the defenders to drop missiles onto the intruders below. There are 2 bartizans, or corner turrets, facing in toward the courtyard, where a 16th century spiral stair gives access to the head of the curtain wall. The entrance was originally a pointed arched gateway flanked by round towers. A defensive outer gate was added in the early 14th century and was destroyed in the 1528 siege, although fragments can still be seen. After the siege, the facade of the gatehouse was rebuilt and more gun ports at ground level, and the gateway corridor was narrowed. The rebuilding covered up the remains of the earlier round towers, narrowed the main gate, and gave the tower rounded corners for additional strength.